So this is about how to become a thought leader in your area, and creating a personal branding strategy. So this was something that I started only 5 months ago. I basically started doing this in December. And what pushed me to do this was I've been working in recruitment with Microsoft for quite a few years, and I've been very lucky to, using that brand. It helped me to open up doors with Microsoft partners, and I was very busy in regards to my clients, and I didn't have to touch back on sales for a long time. So suddenly in sort of October, I changed roles. I wanted something new. I knew that I was getting very comfortable in what I was doing, and I wanted that challenge and that change. And I definitely had challenge because I suddenly moved and had to start everything from scratch. And that includes building up clients from scratch. And if you know about recruiters, don't always have the best reputations, and you contact companies and, they're sort of batting you away. So, so I wanted to really attract the right people to come to me and to know how I work, who I am, and want to work with me because they like me and they like my approach. And I didn't want to work with many companies at one time. It's just not something that makes me happy. Same as what you were saying, Tara. I wanted to work with one business at a time and do a good job of it. So I started to make this very clear in regards to my branding, and I started learning about it. And I posted my first video on LinkedIn, which is very nerve-wracking. I don't know if anyone's put video on and things like that, but it doesn't come naturally to a lot of us. And you definitely judge yourself very heavily. But I posted my first video on LinkedIn in December. And it got a lot of traction. I redid this video about 14 times, sat in a hotel room, because I thought finally no one's around me, no one will be able to hear me. And I finally posted it. And I think because I sort of put in the post, I'm quite nervous, out of my comfort zone. This is my first video, and I just made a video like this is me, this is my background, this is what I do. People within my network were really supportive of it. And then my profile online it got a quick boost. I then found that I started, posting relevant articles, not so much sharing, you can share articles and things, but I was trying to give value. So I was sort of putting posts up that were going to give value to people. And what I found was over the space of only a month, I was trying to put one video up a week, share different types of posts that added value, that gave people tips and tricks, hints of how to do things. And I suddenly started getting approached by both clients who wanted to work with me. And then also I've got offered quite a few jobs, actually. A few companies contacted me who were my tribe, I would say, my sort of people. They were forward thinking. They were also trying to do things slightly differently. And, I started getting offered different jobs. My employer doesn't know this. But yeah, I sort of had people that were contacting me quite regularly for different roles, which I wasn't expecting at all. I was hoping it would help me in regards to sales, but it also was really helping my brand in regards to my career. I was like, wow, I'm onto something here. And then I got sort of invited to, people wanted me to take part on podcasts and things like that. I'm not saying famous or anything like that, but my little following started to really become very dynamic and interactive. And for me, I felt like I was finally giving something back through content, helping other people, and then actually attracting people who wanted to work with me rather than reaching out to people who didn't know me. So for me, it worked really well. So you'll find there are a lot of businesses out there who do this themselves. They have fantastic branding. They really know how to show off and shout about their organization. I've come across a few actually at Microsoft events, and I've gone and spoken to them and got to know their organization. I'm quite fussy about the companies I work with, and when I've scratched beneath the surface, they've been representing this sort of vision for their company. If they're a really wonderful company to work for, really wonderful company that you should buy from, but just beneath the surface, I've then realised that they're really not. The infrastructure is not set up properly. They don't look after or value their staff. They don't have progression. They don't offer decent salaries. So there are companies that are really good at not personal branding, but company branding out there. But just beneath the surface, you'll find that actually they don't have that infrastructure set up. And then, like most of us, the people who are actually very good at what they do don't always know how to shout about it. A lot of people who are good at what they do, they keep it to themselves, and that's why they're good at what they do, because they're actually quite sometimes introverted, and they won't know how to, sort of tell the town about it. And the reason why they're good about what they do is because they're constantly pushing to and striving to be better every day, constantly learning. They never feel like they're good enough, which actually makes them very good. I don't know if anyone understands what I mean. I was talking about this morning, actually. So what we want to do is take that journey from being, a lot of us are hidden in the bushes, a bit introvert, hiding ourselves, and we show our face just slightly, to extrovert, which I don't know if anyone's watched this. I watched a couple of episodes of this Tiger King on Netflix, but yeah, definitely very, very extrovert person. But as well as, obviously having your quality consultancy or quality service that you can then offer. So, you're walking the talk. The problem is with this is that when we try to post things online, or we try to make waves about ourselves, or we go to make waves about ourselves, we are our biggest demons. You're your biggest critic. For example, a couple of months ago, I put a video up, and it was quite a long video, and I was actually talking about branding. It was about 7 minutes long, which is my longest video I've ever put online before. And I remember nobody commented or liked it, and that shouldn't matter at all, because that people are watching, and hopefully it's all out there to add value. But me, I was like, what have I done? And people are going to think I'm stupid. And I could see that everyone where I work had seen it, but nobody had liked it. And I was sort of thinking, I need to take it down. I've put up rubbish content. It's going to, I don't know, ruin my career. Really making a big deal out of it. And then actually, I got a few messages come through later on that evening. Thanks so much for that post. That was really valuable. That really helped me. And if my post will help one person, then for me, it was worthwhile. And then I was like kicking myself, thinking, why did I do that to myself? And the same with video. You'll hear yourself saying like and you'll suddenly realise you do things you never realised that you did before. So you're flicking your hair or whatever, or I don't know, whatever you might do, your little habits, you suddenly start seeing them. And you'll do it again and again and again. And now the way that I'm doing it, I'm like, right, okay, first or second take on a video on my mobile. I'm not going to edit it to death. I'm not going to make it perfect. I just want to be me and get that message across. And it's making it clear to yourself why you're sharing a message. And the reason why you're sharing a message is because you want to contribute and help other people. So something I found really useful, because I used to just post absolutely anything online and share things and think, yeah, that sounds a bit like techie, or that sounds like something to do with Microsoft, and I'd share it all online. And yeah, I didn't really have a plan at all. And then I got a little book that was about content planning, and it was a very short book, and it gave me a ridiculous amount of ideas for creating good content through the year. And I've still got it now. I'm still working with it. So the first thing it pointed out was to think about your ideal client. So what is it you do? How can you help someone, and who is the ideal client that you want to work with? And it's about attracting people that you actually want to work with, because it's not fun working with people that you don't really like, which I'll talk about later. So it's about attracting in the right clients, attracting in that network that you're going to be able to bounce off of, and who are similar thinkers to yourself. So it isn't always niche. A lot of marketing organizations, they do push on niche, niche, niche. And I've seen this go to extreme measures of people actually having titles on LinkedIn or on Instagram. I help people between the ages of 20 and 25 change their life, or I help one person, I can't really say this because I might watch this video actually. But yeah, I mean, some people, they go so niche that they've actually used job titles I don't actually even know what that thing is. And then when I've Googled it, I found that there are probably like 1,000 people with that job title in, you know, the whole of the country. And it's like, why are you going so niche? For example, with technology recruitment, I like to help organizations who, you know, like me, would want to work with me. They like my style, and preferably they use Microsoft technologies, because I know Microsoft technologies the best, and I have a really good network for it. But that means that my ideal client is generally technical organizations with Microsoft tech stack. And then it's also the candidates who want to get into those sorts of organizations. So I'm thinking, how can I help those companies learn how to attract those candidates? And how can I help those candidates have the right skills to attract those companies? And it's then bringing them together. So I'm sort of thinking, okay. And so what I did was I started to think about where I can add value, what my skills are, what sort of tips I can share, insight, books I've read that are going to help people with their career progression, are going to help companies to stand out as an organization, help them have the best benefits packages. There were so many categories as I started to think about it. So I went through all the categories. I said, okay, you know, talent attraction, retaining your talent, you know, all the different things. And it depends, obviously your industry is going to have very different categories, but I started to go through the big categories, and then I started to niche down into the subcategories. So then I started thinking about the actual title of those. It doesn't have to be the exact title, but the article I could share, or a video I could share on it, or an Instagram 1-minute video on 3 top tips to attracting, you know, the ideal company to work for, or 3 ways you can spruce up your CV, or, you know, things like that. Sort of really started going through, and I had this all on a notebook, and it started getting massive and very ugly, and I suddenly couldn't work it out. It started getting a little bit confusing. So something I would recommend is to get ideas flowing. Some people, they will use a notepad or a jot pad. Other people, they use things like Evernote and having different sections. And then when you're out for a walk, you'll be chatting and you suddenly think, well, that's a good idea. I'll add that to my content plan. And you don't have to share it that week. It's just, it's in there so that one day when you can't think what to post about, you have a look at your content plan, and then you can pick something and post about whatever you feel inspired by that day. Another way that people do it is that they will put post-it notes on the wall. So they'll have, you know, different colored post-it notes, and they'll have their categories up on the wall, or you can just have it messy like this picture if you like. But they write down an idea and they'll just stick it on the wall so that idea doesn't fly away. There are people who believe that ideas come to you, and if you don't use them, they'll go to someone else and you would have missed your opportunity with that idea. Almost like they are like flying identities. So as soon as that idea pops into your head, write it down on a post-it note, put it in your book, put it in your Evernote, whatever works for you, put it there, and you can deal with it later. But it's keeping those ideas flowing, because once they start flowing, they don't stop. You find you suddenly, they just, it starts coming, and it's great. And if it doesn't, chat to me and we can go through it, and I will help you with ideas, because it's an area I really enjoy. The other thing is when you start creating content, you've got to think that you're creating it for them and you're making it about them. You're not making it about you and how great you are. You're trying to add value to them. So you make it all about them. So the content will be, this will help you. This will help your business. This will help your CV. This will help, for me, those are sort of things that I would write, but it's all about them. It's not about, this is what I do to, you know, or this is how great I am, or I definitely say boast about yourself, definitely. But try and make the content so it's relevant and it's going to resonate with them. So it's getting out of your own head. Otherwise, sometimes you won't ever create anything because you're fretting so much about if it's going to sound right, if it's going to be relevant, if it's, you know, if you're going to knock your career in some way or something like that. So yeah, make it all about them and just concentrate on adding value. So there are different platforms you can add content onto, and this can actually become quite stressful, I would say, because you can get a little bit carried away of working with too many platforms. I know that I've created a Twitter account, LinkedIn, a Facebook account, an Instagram. I've got a TikTok now. That's just for fun. But some people, they will try to show up on every single platform. I would say pick the ones that are best for you, and you can go with 1 or 2 platforms, and less is more. So we have Facebook. Facebook is really hard to get traction on. It's a nice informal platform, but it is, you know, with the algorithms and things now, you tend to need to sponsor your ads. If you've got a company page, if you've got a group, they're quite good groups. If you're somehow helping people like this group, they grow organically. But company pages on Facebook are very difficult to grow. Anyone who's had one, they realize how much they've had to spend to grow it. Unless you have extremely good media, but generally you have to sponsor those ads. So Facebook is one I've sort of come away from over the years, apart from now. And one way I would say that it works quite well is running things like 5-day challenges. So it'd be something like this week, that's 5 days. You would offer a little piece of your expertise every day with a task. And then at the end, you do an upsell of, okay, do you want to work with me on a consultancy basis, or do you want to attend this online course, or do you want to pay for this, etc. That's one way that I found that groups work really well, because you're at least giving value, and then hopefully you might get something back from it in the future. The other one I'd say that's good is Instagram is actually very good for business. And it's very informal, so people can get to know about you behind the scenes. You can share your 1-minute how-to videos. I have a little Instagram channel, and I haven't really done much with it, but I found it's grown organically. And then I have my own personal Instagram, and that's done very well because, you know, sort of I'm very adventurous, so people love those sorts of pictures and they feel inspired and all of that. So Instagram, if you have a business that's that you can make very visual, you know, before and after pictures or short videos, or you can even share your TikTok videos on there. I'd say Instagram is a good fun platform. I recommend just YouTubing or something like that, how to use Instagram beforehand, because you can use a lot of time on Instagram, same as with Twitter, and not get anywhere. So I recommend just looking at a few things, how to use it well. Twitter, a lot of companies use Twitter. I've stopped using Twitter. I used to use it heavily. Louise still uses it heavily. But yeah, Twitter, a lot of organizations are on there. But you do need to be very regular when you're posting. So if you don't like staring at your mobile phone that much, which I don't, then Twitter probably isn't the best platform for you, because you do need to be very consistent on Twitter. For me, it's just blinging away, and I don't really want that. But there are a lot of organizations that you can reach, and there are a lot of people who use Twitter who aren't on other platforms. So it's really thinking about where your ideal clients are going to be. LinkedIn's my personal go-to. I'm going to be doing a session on LinkedIn later of everything I know about LinkedIn. I'll just be covering it, sharing my screen and going through it with a fine-tooth comb. That's at 4:00. But LinkedIn for me, took me a little bit of time to learn LinkedIn. It was a little bit overwhelming at first, a few years ago when I first started on it. But now I could comfortably run a business completely without a website, and do everything through LinkedIn. Yeah, LinkedIn's been amazing for networking, for my brand, for my career. All of my job offers have come through LinkedIn. You know, any business, I would grow it in LinkedIn. I think LinkedIn's relevant to most businesses. I think there are a lot of companies don't use LinkedIn because they think it's just corporate, but actually you could be, you know, an artist or a gardener, or you could really focus on people within your area, and you could still use LinkedIn effectively because there are so little competitors, I would say. Obviously recruitment, I have a lot of competitors on LinkedIn because they love it, but yeah, other industries, I'd say LinkedIn, people don't yet shout about themselves as much as they could on LinkedIn. I've grown my brand very quickly within 5 months. Other people, they spend years and years growing their brand, trying to, on Twitter, Facebook, these other platforms. LinkedIn, you just put 2 or 3 videos within a short amount of time, or a few good posts, and your LinkedIn can grow very quickly. So I'll be going through that later. And then I would say quality, not quantity. Don't fret about how much you're posting. You do need to be consistent, but some people go as far as saying post 4 times a day. If you're busy and you're going to start posting content that isn't useful to people, then just post once a day. I've been busy the last few weeks, and I've been posting twice a week actually, and maybe liking the odd post and things like that. And that's because I've been busy with this, but I've still managed to keep my following going a little bit, and the interaction, not as much as before. But I'd say, yeah, if you're busy with other things, try to show up, but it's about quality, not quantity. So the next one I want to cover is, these are all the different things you can do to help push out your brand. I'm starting with the most nerve-wracking one, which is the power of video. I, like I said, did my first video in December, and it's, yeah, very, very nerve-wracking because you judge yourself so heavily. I found that through putting up video, what I really like about video is that it's very hard to not be yourself. No, I shouldn't say that actually. It is hard to be yourself. It's hard to be authentic. You find that sometimes you might put on a posh accent, or you might become very, very serious in the video and things like that. But gradually, with time, with practice, you'll start to become more and more yourself on video. And I would say, try to be as authentic as possible. Try to show your vulnerable side. My most vulnerable videos, where I've been sharing something that I felt uncomfortable about sharing, have got the most traction because people have been able to relate to it. They've been able to resonate. They've then seen me as a human being. The videos I've put up that have got the least traction have been the ones that I've edited a lot, that I've put loads of captions up, I've put a beginning screen up, I've polished it, I've edited out every single and R and every single stutter. I've removed it, so I then look a little bit like a robot. You'll see my first videos on LinkedIn are like that. I've stopped doing that now. I'm leaving in the ums and ahs. I'm leaving in the weird cough that I sometimes do, leaving it all in, because people, they like to work with human beings. And just being honest here, what happened when I first put up my first video is I actually lost a lot of followers, because I had thousands of followers because I've been using LinkedIn for years. I just been adding them daily, or connections, I should say, not followers. And I put up my first videos, and actually people were dropping off, and I thought, they don't like me. But it was really good, because then I started attracting people who did think like me and did like me for me, and they're the sort of people I want to work with. I think everyone sat in a meeting with a client where you realize that you are reading off a completely different page, and they are not a culture fit for you to work with, and you either work with them and it's a painful experience, or you come out that meeting not feeling so great. So the good thing about video is you're going to attract the right people. You're going to detract the ones who aren't right for working with, because then what started happening was my following started to grow. And I would say, have a really good little network of people that we really bounce ideas off each other. And I've loved the way that my work, my career has been going since doing it. But I understand it's very nerve-wracking to do. So, as I said, professional is out, authentic is in, be yourself. You don't need to wear a suit. You don't need to be perfect. Leave the ums in. If you swear, that's even in fashion now. Being rebellious on video is in fashion at the moment. And vulnerability is relatable. So what people will do is I actually would get messages from people saying, thanks so much for your videos, Laura. they've really been cheering me up lately, or I found it very inspirational. And I look at my videos, I might be talking about a company or a job. I'm not talking about anything inspirational. And the reason why they found it inspirational is because they can see that I'm vulnerable and I'm actually a little bit uncomfortable. And I think for them, it was nice to see, whereas so many people are putting things up there all the time that are perfect. And then be transparent. Like I say, you know, if you're nervous, if you're new to something, if you're scared about something, if you're excited about something, if you're really going for something, then yeah, try and show that emotion. I'm not saying act, or like, just be yourself, be transparent, be honest. You know, if you're like startup school, I made it very obvious. The first videos of saying something I've never done before, and I am out of my comfort zone, and I'm excited, a little bit anxious. You know, I was being honest about how I was feeling about it, and I think that's something that also helps people to relate with you, and also people then they want to support you, and they will try to help. So like I said, less takes, keep the stutter, look away, use your mobile phone, don't try and use a professional camera and edit it loads. Just be in the moment. If you're out for a walk, if you're in the car, don't do it whilst you're driving. But you know, try not to be too fussy. Something I found, and it's something I still do, is I have to apply makeup for video. One day I will do a video without makeup on. But it is something that sometimes stops me from being in the moment, because I think I should do a video on that. And then I think, oh no, I need to sort out my face. I need to do my hair. I need to change my top or whatever. You get other people, they're doing videos in their onesies and, you know, all sorts. But yeah, try to be in the moment. And that's something, it's a constant work in progress for me. And just rock being you. Be kind to yourself. And if you're not ready for video yet, that's fine. Don't do something that's gonna, you know, that's gonna be far out of your comfort zone. Do things to begin with. I mean, sometimes just putting a post on is out of someone's comfort zone. I know I've gone through posts and I've read through them, check my grammar before posting, and then I'm like, sort of like this. Same with video, you know, do things that feel comfortable to begin with, grow your confidence, and, you know, put up the odd video here and there, but try and slowly grow that comfort zone. Don't throw yourself so far out of it where you're never ever going to do it ever again, because it's such an awful experience for you and so traumatic. So rock being you, be kind to yourself, and do it gradually. That's my first one's video. The second one is actually, we never put posts up about call to action. So I'm all about adding value, but every now and again, you need to actually say what you sell, how much it costs, and how people can contact you. I never, ever, or I very rarely put posts up on LinkedIn. I'm always saying, do this, do that, you know, giving away all the information. But I never say, by the way, I do technical recruitment and I could really do with some clients right now. Please get in contact with me. I charge this amount. No one ever says how much they charge, because they like to keep it a secret. And they don't like their competitors to know. And you can contact me by sending me a quick message or something like that. And it's just a short thing about what you do, how you work, how much it costs, how they contact you. No one ever does it. You don't need to put a photograph or anything like that. You can just do a short little post so people know what you actually do, because sometimes people will follow you and they'll watch your videos and they'll love your content, but they don't ever actually know what you do. I've got quite a few people that I follow who I don't actually really know what their products are, but I love their videos. They're great. Sometimes you do need to put a call to action out there. And then the other sort of posts you can do are long story posts. Now, these are one of my favorites, and it's about writing a story that's going to resonate with someone. And it could be an article, it could be just a post, it could be an Instagram video. Well, that's video, but it could be, you know, a little video, and then you put a story below it of how it makes you feel. It could be something you've taken from a book. It could be, yeah, something or someone who's inspired you recently. You could write about your background so people know who you are and what you do. By the way, just so you all know, this is my background, this is what I do. I'm soon going to do an article about my background, my journey to where I am now. And yeah, how you got to where you are now, as I just said. A reflection, so you could reflect on something that's happened recently, how it's made you feel. something you might have learned, an achievement you've just obtained, and that can be all sorts of things. A company update, charity event that you might have taken part of, Tough Mudder, or you've decided to do some sort of challenge, or a long walk, or something you're proud you've managed to attain. And what you want to do is, through a long story, is give a little bit of insight to the real you. Another one is top tips of the day, or top tips of the week. So you could say, look, these are the top things I've learned. So if I were to break up the sessions yesterday, I would go, okay, three top tips I took from this session are, and I've put them on a post, or, these are 3 top tips I learned about automation today by Anthony, and I'd put that into a post. Or 3 top tips to attract, perfect job for you, or to help your business brand. A book or a recommendation to your audience. Blinkist are ones I tend to share sometimes, or a book that's really inspired me or made a big difference to my life. I would say also asking questions at the end. So you can put something that's inspired you, and then you can say, is there a book that's inspired you? I'm looking for the next book to read. And you almost start to create a little bit of a book club around your sector. And for long story, I'd say it's not a sale. It's just something that's going to be relatable to someone, and something that someone's going to be able to think, yeah, I've had that too, or that sounds really interesting, I'd like to know more, or I know where you're coming from there. So it's giving a little bit of insight, giving a little bit more. And the other types of posts you can do is proving that you walk the talk. So it's proving what you do. We can say what we do, we can show and share tips about what we do, but we rarely ever put up evidence that this is how we did it and this is who we've done it for. So I would say something that's great about LinkedIn, you can do it on Facebook, and you can just ask people, on your website and things like that as well. But asking for reviews and recommendations from people that you've worked with, they can be clients, but they can also be, colleagues. They can also be friends in the business world that you've just helped each other, and they can, say about how you inspire them, or how you spent some time to help them in some way. So asking for those reviews and recommendations. I would recommend the best way to get reviews and recommendations is to give them first. So think about people you've worked with and start giving them recommendations, or offer them a recommendation that they can share. And that's the best way to get them back, because then they will turn around and they'll say, what can I do for you? And it makes you feel lovely as well, sort of making people feel better about themselves, making them realize, why you value them, and what they've done for you, and how it made you feel. So it's lovely to give reviews. Don't expect to get them back, but when you do get them back, these are what I would say that you can share. So say, look, I love this, please could I share it? And what I've started doing on LinkedIn, because you get recommendations on LinkedIn, I've asked the person who's made the recommendation, do you mind if I share this in a post? Because it doesn't come up to everyone, it just goes below my LinkedIn profile. So I'll actually take a screenshot with my mobile, or I'll do a screenshot on my laptop, and then I'll share it in a post, and I'll say, I've just got this lovely recommendation from Tara. And it's made me feel really wonderful. This is why I do what I do. This just makes this week worthwhile, because I'm having a rubbish week and I've just seen this post. Thank you so much to that person. And it's one way to share and prove what you actually do for organizations. The other way that you can do it is ask companies you work with for case studies. So if you've actually done a piece of work with an organization, you can create a case study on what the problem was with that company, where they were struggling, or with that person, maybe where they were struggling. And then you can then show the solution that you brought and what the outcome was. And that's something that you can either create a nice little case study PowerPoint slide, or a video. With videos, it's something that I've actually done with people in the past. I've asked them if they would just say one line about what it was like. Well, no, actually, this is an idea I've given to a company recently, and it was about how the people working for them, they wanted to attract more candidates. So I said, okay, get everyone within the team to say one line of what's so great about working for that company, and then just get them to send it on their mobile, and we'll just put it all into one video and then share it on LinkedIn. And it's just a raw, done on mobile, it's not professional. And it's just like, working for this company is great because, or, you know, this company delivered a great solution and did this, and working with them felt like this. And, you know, they're wonderful and I recommend them. Those, if you can get videos, things like that, that's absolutely priceless. And share it. If you can't get video, just put it in PowerPoint pictures and you can create almost like a video slide share that you can share, or just put a post about it. So case studies are really good as well. So this is basically called 4-pillar marketing. One of the ones, people who use 3-pillar, 5-pillar, 7-pillar. I mean, there's lots of different things. But so starting about what you're confident doing, then pushing your boundaries. You have videos that you can share. You've got your long form stories that are relatable. You've got your call to action, you know, how much you do it for, what you do, how they can contact you. And then you've got your social proof, which is your case study or screenshotting review, showing that you walk the talk. Something I'd say to always be aware of on social media is the perfectionist. You will be a perfectionist on yourself a lot of the time. Don't go through it with a fine-tooth comb. You know, obviously make sure the grammar's okay and things, but just put it out there and don't fret about it. If it doesn't get any traction, don't worry. Just put it out there. It hasn't knocked your career for life. Your friends aren't laughing at you. Your colleagues aren't laughing at you. Actually, what I find sometimes is people are envious a little bit. Sometimes you'll find people look at your post and they don't like it. And it might be because they wish that they could do it themselves. It could be that they're envious or they're inspired. I know that I've certainly worked with people who will suddenly put down my stuff. Oh, Laura, you've been really active on LinkedIn lately, haven't you? Do you not do any work? They don't see that actually that is work because I'm attracting clients. But it's because they don't actually have the confidence to put those things up themselves. So they create a bit of banter, but that banter can create a culture where it's very difficult for people to feel confident to share things and to step outside of their comfort zone. So the culture is very important you create as a company, and as well as, you know, not being too much of a perfectionist. Give yourself a break. Building your tribe is something that I've definitely been doing. I would say 15,000, you know, I used to look at my numbers on LinkedIn. I was like, yeah, I want to get 30,000 connections on LinkedIn. It really doesn't make any difference. Having 10 amazing connections over 15,000, 10 people who support you, who will share your things, who will give you advice, who will, you know, recommend you to other people. They are so much more important than having 15,000. So numbers are not everything. Yes, grow your connections, connect with people. It's great when more people like your page. It's great when more people like your company, etc. But it's better to have quality over quantity. Recognize someone you feel fits your culture. So I've had a few organizations over the last few months who I would say definitely are right for me. I can have a laugh with them. They really support what I do. They make me feel good about myself. They make me feel confident. This can even be relatable to, you know, this can even be your family members, your friends. You know, sometimes you have those friends you spend a bit of time with and you come away feeling really good about yourself. And sometimes you'll have friends you spend time with and you suddenly are doubting yourself. I would say embrace the ones that make you feel good about yourself. So recognize someone who fits your culture and who is a supporter and look after them. So support them back in return. Share their posts, you know, comment on their posts, help them out. Spot an ambassador. So sometimes you won't have someone who wants to buy off you. You might have someone who never ever does business with you, and that's fine. But what they might be is they might be a really good ambassador. They might be recommending you to their friends. They might be sharing your content. They might write you a review if you ask for it. They might be happy to go through and advise you or bounce around ideas. And these people are your ambassadors, and they're rare to come across. Make sure you look after them. Look after them, I'd say, over clients. Ambassadors are ones that are going to look after you in the long term. For me, clients a lot of the time will become ambassadors, and they actually become friends a lot of the time. That's how I like to work, because I like to work with people I like. And it's nice because business doesn't feel suddenly like a job anymore. It starts to feel like something, something I enjoy doing. It stops becoming like work. And that networking groups is something. So networking group like this one, this Facebook group, something that's going to help people. You could say, okay, let's talk about job seekers. Let's do a networking group where we're all going to help each other to learn the skills to get that next job, or share our experiences, or as well as, business owners helping each other. It doesn't always have to be something that has a paid membership, and it doesn't have to be a big group. You can have a small group of 10 people or 5 people, 3 people. It doesn't actually, sometimes I find that smaller groups are better than big groups, which is what I really love about these videos, because actually the groups are quite small, but it means it's really interactive and we're actually really getting to know each other. And then we can share it to the masses and all of that. But yeah, networking groups, I would say, are great, and you can use them on many different platforms, and you could do it in person, coffee meetup, whatever. They're great, and I definitely recommend using them. And then I would say something I've been doing lately is, you've always been aware of your competitors, and most of the time, the people you really see as, they're a direct competitor. The reason why they're direct and you see them as a threat is because they're doing really good stuff. And it's stuff that you respect, and probably a way of working that you think highly of. So I'd say, rather than trying to compete against them and not sharing anything with them and being paranoid about them and not trusting them and all of that, which is a horrible feeling. I know I've definitely had it. What I've been trying to do over the last few months is I've been befriending my competitors, and I've been asking them, how can I help you? And they think I'm weird, like, let me make some introductions, some companies for you, or let's collaborate on a project together. Let's share a piece of the pie. Let's go 50-50 on this project. I've been befriending my competitors. I've been sharing all my ideas with them. And in return, some of them either think I'm a bit strange, they don't share anything in return, but others are like, this is a great way to work. And then they're recommending me in return. They're sharing their latest ideas with me. There are a lot of Microsoft recruiters, I'd say the best ones out there actually, that I'm connected with closely and that I speak with on a regular basis. And I share with them everything I'm doing. I share my clients, and I hope that they won't go for those clients. But if they're going to, as you know, most people as company owners, you get so many calls a day. They would just be one of the 200 cold callers. So, whatever, I'll share who I'm working with, share my ideas, and hopefully it will help them with their business, and they can help me with mine. And it's just a really nice way to work. And the other thing that's becoming more and more popular lately is launching a podcast. It's something that I've been doing myself. I've been doing a podcast recently about MVPs, which are people in Microsoft community who've got most valued professional status. So basically they do a lot of work, and they become recognized by Microsoft as the go-to expert for a specific area. And I've been doing a little podcast on how they got to where they are and what their journey was, hoping to inspire the next wave of technical people coming in, so they know if they want to obtain that, and also the pros and cons of that. So something that I launched that podcast personally because I wanted to connect with more of those people, and I wanted to learn more about that process, and I wanted to learn more about Microsoft technologies because it helps me. So I would say, if you're going to launch a podcast, make sure it's something that you're interested in, something that you actually want to learn about yourself. You'll see that Sean Anderson, who's on at 11, he launched a podcast, and it's all about how recruiters, built their business and how they got there. And from those podcasts he's done over the years, he's learned loads about recruitment branding, recruitment marketing, and it's really helped him as a business, as well as he's built a really good following. And so I'd say, if you're going to launch a podcast, it is time consuming, but it's a nice way to reach out to people that wouldn't usually maybe work with you, but it enables that person, you help someone else to shine, someone else to talk about what they do, how they got to where they are. It can be inspirational. I love doing it as interviews. So I'll ask, 5-6 questions to really dig beneath the surface. and find out about the real them and, you know, their journey and the hurdles they got over. That's something that I really enjoy doing podcasts. If you don't have time to do a podcast and the technical side, I can go through the technical side with you. I'm not going to say I'm very good at it, by the way, but I could probably bring in someone to do it better than me. But if you don't have time, I'd say the other thing is contributing. So search for podcasts, find ones that interest you, find who's running that podcast and contact them and say, look, I feel I could offer some information on this, or, you know, would you be interested in me talking about this subject? And then you don't need to worry about growing a following. You can just talk on a podcast already has a following, and that's going to help your brand as well. So something I do a lot recently, over the last, well, I'd say I do it the last 5 months actually, again, is giving it away for free. So help your clients have the info to do it for themselves. Just give it to them. If they've got the time and the resource, they will always find a way to do it for themselves. They could potentially just mess you around and say, yeah, we want you to come on board, but they don't actually have the funds to pay you. And it's, you know, potentially going to be quite a lot of time wasting. So I'd say try and give away the value for free. Give it through posts, give it through, you know, PDF book that's downloadable, give it through a webinar, give it through a YouTube video, give it through like what I'm doing here. Give it, and then hopefully you will start to recognize the spenders from the time wasters, and the people who want to work with you. They'll say, yeah, you've told me exactly what I need to do, but I want to work with you. And that's something that happened with me recently. I gave away a full recruitment strategy to a company before any contracts were signed. And I said, look, this is what you can do as an organization to create an organic process, because they were really struggling with, they had to hire so many people within a very short amount of time, and they had investors and everything involved. And it was it's been very challenging for them, and dealing with recruiters has been a headache for them. So I said, okay, well, this is a strategy so you can stand out as a company. It was mainly about branding actually. And I said, look, this is what you can do. Then they turned around and said, well, we want you to do it. How do we get you to do it? So for me, that was great. But other organizations, they might just be like, thank you for that. I will take that gift and I will do it. They would have done that anyway after having various consultancy sessions with you, or even, you know, sometimes companies, they'll interview someone to get the ideas. They would have done that anyway. So give them the strategy, just give them the information so they can do it for free. Tony Robbins is someone I follow, and I would say he starts from freemium to premium. He will give away free things on YouTube. You can get everything he teaches, you can get it from free YouTube videos. But some people then will think, okay, well, I'll buy a book. That's £8.99. That's the people who can afford £8.99. Other people, they might be able to afford a bit more. They might go on an online mastermind with him, which is like £2,000. They'll go for that. Other people, they can afford more. They'll go on a Date with Destiny course in America, which costs you about, I don't know, £5,000. Other people will be like, yes, I want to be part of his premium club, and they will pay, I think it's at least 100K. I can't remember the price, but per year. But obviously it's amazing for the networking. They're all part of premium club, and they do all these global things. But he's made sure that he can bring in people of all the different levels. Try to do that with your company. You've got the people who are just starting out, who can't afford your services. Try and give them the information for free. You've got the people who then can afford a little bit. Find something you can give to them. And then you've got the people who can spend big money. And, you know, you obviously want to bring them through almost like a funnel where then they're wanting to spend that money with you. Or you've helped them to become successful where they actually can. They do have that money to spend with you. And then you'll find you're working with companies who trust you, as well as companies who will recommend you. And again, for your brand, organizations, they might take that strategy for free. They might take that information, do it themselves, but they might also say to other organizations at a networking event or something, you know, oh, I've been working, you know, with this girl called Laura. She gave us this idea. It's worked really well. You should give her a call. Here's her number. So it doesn't always result in a sale, but sometimes it means you'll be recommended. And for your brand, it's amazing, which just starts to make sales organic. And another thing I'll just point out at the end is don't count the numbers. They are watching. So sometimes you'll be putting things up, posts up, and people won't always respond. They won't always like the posts, but they are watching, and because you'll suddenly get a message from someone saying, "Oh, I really found that valuable. Thank you so much. It's made a difference." And I'll think, "You've never liked any of my stuff. I've never seen your name before. Who are you?" And they've been watching, for weeks, but people don't always feel confident to comment or like a post. So don't fret about the numbers. And the final one is, this is a picture I have on my desktop, and this is how I feel most of the time in recruitment and working with technology companies. I feel like that big bird. And something I was reminded by someone, luckily, is to embrace being that big bird. Don't try and become those people in green. You've got to rock being you, embrace being you, be kind to yourself, and people will love you for you. Some people love Big Bird, some people hate Big Bird. You want to attract the people that love Big Bird, so be yourself, and yeah, rock being you. It's an ongoing process.